Better than it was, it doesn't get better.
Yeah, we've made some pretty big improvements.
We have.
So did you find it? It's not going up there.
You don't see?
I see you now.
Recording in progress. You
I was trying to make you post.
No, that's fine.
Oh.
Okay. You know, would you like to?
Sure. Let's see,
I,
is it up?
I gave Eric and Melissa a copy of this.
Oh,
I
it's
don't
not
know
there.
if you want.
Okay, sure. I'll take this. Melissa sent something. Was this
I had sent the one
the
we
one
used
from
prior.
last year? So I sort of went through that and then, but I'll take this too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Who did this one, Becky?
I found it online, but it was better than some of them.
Okay. These are great.
Mayor made this.
Okay, all right. Let me just make sure. One more minute. It's the 27th, 25th?
Yeah, that's
27th.
I'm ahead of myself. Oops.
If it was the 27th, my husband would deal with that. No, just, the speaker picks up and then he goes with it. Friday, 27th, wedding anniversary.
I don't know, wow. My son's birthday.
Is it? Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call a meeting of the Shutesbury Selectboard to order. Today is Wednesday, September 25th. This is a hybrid meeting with the three members of the Select Board present here in Town Hall, along with the Town Administrator, and our candidate for the Shutesbury Highway Superintendent, Dave Grenier. Okay, good.
Dave or David? What do you want to be called?
Everybody knows me as Dave.
Dave, okay,
Okay.
that's perfect.
So there is only one agenda item this evening, which is an interview for Dave Grenier. We're going to dispense with any public comment this evening and just move right into the interview, which will be conducted by the three Select Board members. So welcome. Thanks for coming in this evening. Somebody want to start?
Sure. Why don't you give us just a little introduction of you? Who are you, Dave?
Me?
Right.
Just brief.
Well, in line with what we're here for, just an equipment operator that I've done it for, my father put me in front end loader when I was 8 years old. And I've run machines ever since, forklifts, tractors, everything.
Dave, could I ask you to speak up a little bit?
Oh,
You could even move up a little bit closer if that's easier.
No, I'll speak up a little.
Okay.
I talk soft.
It's okay, there's a bit of a
That's another thing about me, I talk soft.
Okay.
Right.
But carry a good stick.
I'm a religious man. I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I've been since 1985. I was baptized. I started studying the Bible when I was 84. And I was an elder in the congregation for 17 years. Gave talks, teach. And I was a ministerial servant. What Tim does, most people know it as a deacon in some churches. I was a ministerial servant for 10 years. So basically, I've learned a lot of things over the years working for companies. I've of experience. I've had my own business for 4.5 years, so I know what it takes to do the paperwork and the bills and pay employees, and so I'm familiar with the office aspect of that. Also, I worked in paper mills for 10 years, and I was in a machine tender, and the machine tender's in charge of the whole machine room, all the employees. He's the one that calls the shots for everything. I did that. I was working at that paper mill for six and a half years, and then I worked in Pittsburgh for 3.5 years. I worked for the town of Wayland. I was a heavy equipment operator there, and they seemed to trust me with all the machines. The only thing I didn't run there was the grader. I didn't run the grader there. I did run a street sweeper, did some basic cleaning. I have a license for all of that. In fact, I got all those licenses back in 01. When I got laid off from the paper mill, I went right up and got my tractor trailer license. So I've been a tractor trailer driver since 01. I was a yard jockey for a company in Gardner for 7 years. I did deliveries. I managed their warehouses. And I worked for a timber harvester for 5 years. I drove log trucks, chip trailers. So I have a lot of experience with heavy trucks. And I'm at home in the backhoe. I'm at home in the front end loader. Tim put me in the grader when I first started here, and I've been grading ever since. And I like the grader. It's a challenge. I like a challenge. So that's who I am. My father taught me a lot of stuff about machines. But he used to work for the landfill down in Sudbury. I used to go every weekend down there. I used to run the front end loader, bring him dirt to bury the trash. He ran the compactor. Everybody used to just take pictures of me because I was just a kid in the front end loader. I couldn't even sit in the seat. I had to get down in front of the seat to run it. It was kind of fun for the residents to see that, but now it would be.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I'm sad, sorry, I have some words.
Yeah, but that's the way they did things. That's how kids learned how to do stuff back then. You know, when I worked for the timber harvester, his son was in his lab running machines, and now his son has his son sitting in his lab. So that's how we learn how to operate machines a lot of time.
Don't forget to mention your mom.
Oh my, she was quite a lady. She raised stock cars. My father raised stock cars when I was a kid. So I used to tear the cars down so that they could put the roll cages in. My mom raced for 1 year with all the men. She came in 9th in the point standings. So she was quite a lady, very crafty. She had 2 degrees in welding. So she was a real smart girl. Yeah. Yeah, I keep forgetting to bring the picture in to show you.
Well, you're just getting the education from both parents. That's
Yeah, well, yeah.
not always the norm.
Yep. So that's who I am. I'm a quick learner. I love doing what I do. I was kind of bummed the last week and a half when I was in the office trying to get all the paperwork ready for the paving and doing the payroll and this and that. The kids were out running the machine. So I was kind of jealous. But, I've done it all my life, so I guess it's time to teach somebody else. And, I like to do that. I like to teach.
So, thinking about this position, I mean, obviously you've been in town for 4 years.
4 years.
Worked under both our last 2 highway superintendents. For you making that transition to highway superintendent, what do you think would be most challenging? The most challenging part of it for you?
Well, I think the most challenging part is I love to run the machines. And that's what I do. That's what I love to do. And the challenging parts would be, I like to leave my work at work and my home life as my home life. It's not fair to my wife to take work home. I've always took pride in trying not to challenge. Other than that, I don't find it to be that big a deal transitioning into it because I'm so familiar with how it all works. I will have to learn a little bit. I've been talking to Matt down in Everett. He's willing to help me with, some of the Chapter 90 stuff just to get the hang of that. I was at a FERCog meeting Tuesday, and I was about an hour. I had to leave after an hour and a half because everybody kept coming in the office and asking me questions. So but I got a good idea of what they do. And I think Steve started that process, so I gotta look around the office and figure out all the paperwork and how Tim filed, how Steve filed. I don't know that, so. But I have been finding a lot of stuff in the computer that's up. They have a lot of stuff that they got started for paperwork and stuff. So. I've done the warrants twice and payroll once. So I did the payroll by myself. So I'm familiar with that stuff. Happening in business.
So that was my question, is whether or not, obviously you get a lot of experience driving machines, there's no question about that. But it seems like there isn't as much experience in the paperwork end of things. And obviously there's a lot of paperwork, but I can understand the whole thing, because I used to drive trucks too, I know what you're talking about. I'd rather drive the trucks than be the boss of people who drive the trucks.
Yeah.
But, in any event, so I guess is the paperwork something that you'd find challenging, or are you worried about that at all? Should we be worried about that, or?
No, that's a good question. I was a secretary for the congregation for 4 years. I was an accountant for 6 in the congregation, so I'm very familiar with the number process and keeping files and stuff like that. So I have a lot of experience at that congregation level. And I do all the bills at home. I do that, just because I just do it. I'm good at it.
Right. Okay.
I have some computer experience, so Becky found that out.
Yeah, he had jumped right on and found most everything he needed to do the warrants, the vendor warrants, and the payroll. So that was, he asked me to come in just to help him figure a few things out, but he was on the move, checking out the files. I think we ended up double paying because we didn't understand Steve's system. I mean, we didn't double pay, but we did a vendor warrant that Steve had already put in. But now that we figured out the system, what he was doing, that won't happen again, and Gail's happy to help him.
She didn't seem to have any complaints.
No, she didn't, because he got,
I'm sure I'll make a mistake sometime, but.
Everyone does. In your past work experience, so the department has a couple of employees and then we'll have occasional plowing help. Do you have experience managing, either within the companies you worked for or your own company, managing staff members and other?
Oh, yeah. I ran crews of between 5 and 10 people at the paper mill, and I had my own business. I had to hire my own people. So yeah, I have some experience on how to deal with people, even difficult people. The paper mill was not easy. We worked rotating shifts. Worked a lot of hours, so everybody's tired. So you have to learn how to deal with, tired people. Highways aren't any different. Every time you get tired, so sometimes they get at each other. So I do have a lot of experience with that.
And likewise, with the companies you work for in your own, how did you deal with, in this case, it wouldn't necessarily be customers, but they'd be residents that may not be happy with the amount of salts or various
Yeah, I'm
things.
good with people.
Okay.
Good with people. You just stay calm, let them say what they're going to say, and try to answer their questions the best way you can. Yeah. I've talked to a lot of residents around here. There's a lot of nice people around here. So residents aren't coming. I was did a cut permit.
which one?
Cut permit
Right,
for one
right.
of the residents up
Just
on Baker.
yesterday. There was a big surprise.
Yeah, I had to put together conditions in terms of what the contractor to make sure that he repairs the road right. I called Tim, because he was familiar with the farm, and there was already a line underneath the road, but it was just a conduit for electric, and that's only 2 feet down. The water has to be 4 feet down, so, I had to put those terms in there and make sure that he's gonna compact it right. I'm familiar with that because I work for a contractor who used to do trenching, and I've been in a lot of trench classes, know how it's supposed to be done and so forth. Got a lot of training in that.
So Dave, you mentioned that, you had some questions about the chapter 90 paperwork related to that
Yeah.
paving. So is that, and that you spoke with the Leverett Highway Superintendent?
Yeah, I
is
talked to
that
Matt, and I also talked to Aaron in New Salem,
Okay.
and I actually did talk to Tim about it a little bit.
Mhm.
And there's a guy that will come down and show me, he's from the chapter 90,
Mass Highway?
Mass Highway, yeah,
Yeah.
so he,
Chris Burchard.
yeah, Matt said he's really good, he'll come down and just run me through all of that.
Oh, great, okay.
I'm
So
not-
that's an arrangement you need to make, is to have him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to make a phone call and just ask questions.
Mhm.
That's one thing, because I want to know.
Sure, great.
I
No,
wanna make
that's,
sure I do it right.
yeah.
A lot of money involved.
Mhm.
And they changed the whole chapter 90 reimbursement system. It's all online now. It's a new portal, and so I'm just learning it too.
Okay.
I'm familiar with it, how to do the computer work when it comes to DE signs and all that stuff. I'm familiar with that. I do that a lot.
That was gonna be my follow-up question.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Just
It's
trying to be helpful.
Yeah, no, that's good. The more information we get,
Yeah.
the better. So your comfort level with dealing with, stuff that's online and filling out forms and that sort of
Yeah,
thing?
I'm pretty good at it. My wife's helped me out a lot. She used to be a lead at a company for 18 years, and she used to do all the scheduling, and she used to do all that stuff, so I'm not afraid to ask her.
Mhm.
If I can tell her I don't know something, and she's super good at teaching me that stuff, so. And I've been doing it for a while, so. I used to have to do, for congregation and everything, I used to have to send reports to the organization, and then I just have to fill in all everything with, the live paperwork, where you have to enter all it in, and then you have to send it. So I'm super familiar with that. Did that for years.
Good, thank you.
What about like the Wetlands Protection Act and stuff? That's something you're gonna run into a lot, I think. Dealing with the Conservation Commission, making sure you have permission to do, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Any issues there? What's your experience there, Penny?
I don't have an issue. I just was kind of hoping that they could give me some kind of some kind of guideline as to, what I'm allowed to do without having to call them, like doing the trenches and stuff like that. Tim gave me some ideas about the things that we're allowed to do on the side of the road, and then I want to do some culvert extension pipes so that I can get the culvert. A lot of our culverts are right on the edge of the road, and the trouble we're having is it's washing, and when you're grading, you gotta grade right, you gotta make sure you don't hit any of the walls, the stones on the top and stuff like that, so I wanna just extend those out, so I can put the walls off the road, so that at least it'll be easier to grade, and we can make sure that they're low enough in the road, so we don't hit them and pull them out.
We had started a process where, notice of intent,
Yep, and Beth has the draft, Beth, who's the chair of Concom, has the draft version that we're gonna sit down together with, hopefully soon, and, review. And it's a bundled order of conditions for the highway department, and it'll help give you that guidance of, you can do this, but you can't do that, and what needs a permit and what doesn't need a permit. And so, I have a draft upstairs, you're welcome to review, and, we'll get back in touch with Beth. she hasn't gotten back to me yet, because she's been busy, so we'll make it a priority.
One thing that I want to make sure is that everybody knows what we're doing. Because I don't like just doing something and then asking for forgiveness later.
Yeah.
You just get into trouble that way.
Yeah.
I'm not like that. I want to know ahead of time. If I have a project that needs to be done or whatever, I want to know ahead of time. There's a couple of things that I'd like to change. With the highway department itself, washing the trucks. We need to take those somewhere else to wash them, not just let it go on the ground. Have issues with the storage of salt. I don't like seeing a white ground outside the door, salt shed, so.
What would you do there? What would you suggest?
I was hoping to look at salt sheds, and just because Matt has one of those big rounds, and he keeps everything in that building. And the only time I ever load the trucks right there. I'd like to find a way that when the trucks come with the salt, that we're not dumping it in the middle of the parking lot, because that's what we're doing right now. We're dumping the salt right in the middle of the parking lot, and you can't get all that salt off the parking lot. And then we're bringing it to where we're storing it. We have like 3 different places we store stuff, and so I'd like to contain that all in one thing, but I know that's going to take some doing and research and figure it out. I'd like to try to get it so that the trucks can dump the salt right into the salt shed. I have to open the door up a little bit more or something. Right now on a tractor trailer, there's no way you can dump it right into the shed. Matt has set up where they can't do that. I'd like to just do some research on it. I think it's a good thing to keep the salt.
Yeah, or
I'm sure the compound will appreciate that.
Well, I think it's been an issue in town, hasn't it? Haven't we had some polluted wells from the salt that in that?
Watkins,
Yeah.
Well behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, since then I've made a retention thing so that if any, when it rains and stuff, the water will go there and it has a chance to, before it goes into the woods or the wetlands and stuff like that. But I just did that on my own. When Steve was here, Steve liked it, but I want to make sure that we do things right. I'm not surprised that going down the road.
So just, it's good to hear you talk about things that you might change. Is there anything else beyond the salt shed and the clearing of the trucks that are, priorities for you as as you take over the highway?
We have a couple of older trucks. When Tim was on vacation, I came into the meeting and introduced the new truck that he wanted to purchase. And I mentioned that the other truck wasn't safe. Eventually it's going to be a problem and we're not going to be able to, the whole back of the truck can come right off. It's been welded and patched so much that it's not really in that great a shape. It's okay for now, but Tim kept that old truck instead of trading it in. I was a little upset when I found out, but that's what he did. I would like to get rid of that truck, or do something with it. Those trucks are both discontinued trucks. There's the old one, they're both Sterling trucks. The old one, the body's going on, it's starting to get to the same condition as the other truck. I would like to see if we could take those 2 trucks and trade them in for maybe another 10-wheeler similar to the one we have. Because we do a lot of hauling, we save a lot of money by doing our own hauling. And it's a good thing to do in the wintertime because a lot of stuff you can't do in the wintertime. You can't grade roads, you can't dig in ditches. Pretty much winter is winter. So I would like to be able to have that capability to go and get, because the 6-wheelers, you can only put 8 yards in it, whereas the 10-wheelers you can put 14 to 15 yards in it. So it's more cost effective for you to go get the material, pick up that much at a time, and it saves time too.
And you're hauling things like hard pack or?
Yeah, hard packs, sand
Yeah,
for winter.
okay.
also, all stones, sometimes we need stones for projects.
Remove snow from the intersections. Remove snow from the intersections. Remove snow from the intersections.
Remove it.
No, we don't do that. We usually can find a place to put it. What we do like to do is remove the snow from, entrances so that people can see to get out, because it does build up sometimes. Lately, these last 2 winters, it's been all slush, and it's a whole different ballgame now. The temperatures are warmer. And last year, I talked Steve into letting me use the white salt when it's warm. And it's $100 cheaper a truckload than the calcium or the treated salt. That you need when it's below 27 degrees. I'm very familiar with that.
Because it doesn't melt the
The
ice.
first time I worked at, they were all salt, and they would use the white salt. You know, I got to learn when to use the white salt, when to use. We used to spray calcium onto the salt and put it out on the roads. That's one way of doing it. Now they have it mixed in with the salt, so we don't need the tanks and the sprayers and all that maintenance, and have a tank to haul this, to house the stuff, and then that has to be contained, so it does save a lot. And I talked Stephen to let me use a little bit more of the white salt rather than the treated salt, because it's more expensive, and we could use that when it's colder. And we saved a lot last winter. We did a little bit of pre-treating, which Tim didn't believe in. And that's something I learned in the last 2 highways departments I worked for, is if you pre-treat, you use less material. And the roads don't get real slick and hard packed. You know, if you're coming in after the snow starts, it's already been treated. So, you know, a lot of times, we didn't get any calls from the state police last year of, that we needed to treat the roads, because we pre-treated. It was already on the road when they were coming home at 11 o'clock and driving through town and saying, oh, the Prescott's too slippery, or we didn't have that last year. Previous years we did.
That's actually a good segue into emergency. So part of this position is part of the emergency management team, which is a coordination of the Board of Health, like Select Board, and police, and fire, and school, and maybe missing someone, but that's the general. And would you work with the fire and the police departments in an emergency, an ice storm, for example? You haven't necessarily maybe had the experience of the 2008 ice storm, so how might you coordinate with fire and police department?
Well, I've been talking to Kristen, and she wants to meet with me and Lenny, police chief, just so everybody's on the same page as to who to call, who not to call. And we had a little issue with Sheldon tried to call Steve.
Over the
There
weekend.
was a tree down.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't call me, because they have my number. I don't know why they didn't call me, but they called the fire department. They took care of it. But they have our number now. Becky sent a letter to them. And also, Kristen, I think, said something to them, Sheldon.
She called them, and then she sent my letter over to them. They would like to have an official letterhead from
Yeah,
this, you know, from the town.
okay. And that's something we did.
Yes.
Okay. And so
Monday morning.
I'm willing to work with, I even put in the terms and conditions for the road, if they have to close the road when they cut it, to call the police department. So the contractor understands that police need to know when we close the road down, when, how long, stuff like that. So Kristen loved that. She was all happy. She was like, I can't believe you did that, thank you. So, I mean, they're gonna do it on a weekend, so there's no buses involved, so you don't need to call the bus companies or anything. So, yeah, I wanna coordinate with everybody, communication. We all like each other, so that's good. Lenny stopped me with the grader today. I don't know about his
is no longer at the house.
I know,
Yeah, mom's living.
it's not either.
It's going through some things, Lenny.
So another question I have, and only this is because of my background now for construction, do you have familiarity with OSHA regulations and safety
Yes,
practices?
I've been trained.
Do you have your OSHA 10 certification?
No, I don't have that right now. I did have it. I did have it when I was with that. And I went to some classes for OSHA, the first highway department I worked at. But I don't know if the regulations have changed, but yeah, the trench digging. So I already talked to the two kids that have been working with me that we're going to wear chaps when we run the chainsaws and run on high vis. You know, I just want to make sure nobody gets hurt. We need them. One goes out, and there's only two of us.
Would you be supportive of regaining your certification and having the
Yeah.
other people in the department get theirs?
Yep. Steve was working on that. I don't know how far he got on it. I'll ask him how far he got on that. And, all three of us.
You want to go, Eric?
Yeah, well, how would you handle something like if an employee was, you thought an employee was, drinking on the job or using drugs or whatever, those kinds of things? How would you deal with that, or how would one deal with that?
Well, that's something that really Kristen should know. If somebody came in drunk, yeah, gotta get them tested, make sure that they're not over the limit. And I would probably send them home if they weren't over the limit. Get them right home if they couldn't drive. And just let everybody know what happened. And go from there. The first highway department I worked at, they had a guy down at the landfill. Came in drunk, and they called the police department. They came down, so I'm familiar with the process. And we also had a foreman come in drunk one time, and an employee took him home in a truck. I let the director know I wasn't happy about that. They didn't do, I don't know what they did. They didn't tell me where it went from there, but this legal things, I don't want to work with somebody who comes in drunk. One of the things that I've already told those guys, I said, you have your CDL license, and your own car, it's .04. You can't go to get a bar and get a beer and drive home, one beer, go over the limit. So yeah, I'm very familiar with that.
Dave, obviously, you've been with the town for 40 years in the highway department. Moving into the position as acting superintendent, did you feel like you had kind of a set of priorities, a work plan? How are you going to kind of go from here about setting priorities? Do you think we need to go in a different direction? Obviously, the Wendell Road paving was coming up, but beyond that, what are the next steps for you in taking over?
Getting ready for winter. That was my first priority. Getting the trucks ready. We had two trucks fail. So we're kind of getting the big trucks already in the shop to get fixed. The pin was gone on it. That's one of the Sterlings. That's the trouble you have with, if you have 4 trucks. I mean, I want to get back down to 3 trucks so we don't have so much to take care of. And yeah, I would like to plan ahead for next summer. Just thinking West Palm, we looking into having that. Tim did a chip seal on that. It's falling apart. The chip seal's not always, I don't really like it.
How long ago was that? How long ago was the chip seal?
It was before I came. It was
Okay.
probably about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I was with the crew when we did Elm Hill. That section, it was quite a section that we did all the way past Baker. this paving crew, they had a bunch of questions for me, and I didn't know how Steve had set it up, I didn't know how Tim did it. But, they asked me a couple of questions, because they wanted to know if I was familiar with, if you have crack seal on the road, you need to put a layer on there, and then put the hot top over the top, because if you don't, you're gonna see all that crack seal in the road afterwards.
Yeah.
And then they asked me if they wanted me to spray the tack in between the two layers, and I said yes. Because that's the smart way to do it. He even said that, he says a lot of people try to go cheap, and this section of the road will last longer than life should last. And, yeah, I wanna just keep up with our roads, the dirt roads. I wanna do some research, find out, maybe an engineer can come down and take a look at them with me, and give me some suggestions. Maybe even get somebody in to work on some of those. I don't know what their pricing would be. The fur car, I talked to Ellen with the fur car, and she said she wants to talk to me, so just kind of let me know what they have for funding and stuff like that. So yeah, I like a challenge, and that's definitely going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
But I want to get the dirt roads. We're on the base. All of our dirt roads are at base, and I found out some more spots on Montague that there's nothing on. And I broke 2 teeth on the machine. The grader is in really bad shape right now, I can tell you that. I wouldn't let anybody else drive that grader other than me, because when you drive out onto the road, it articulates on its own, and you have to make that correction real quick, otherwise you're going in another lane or you're going off the road. I'm familiar with it, so I won't let anybody run that machine until I get it fixed. And all the pistons leaking. It's 39 years old.
That's a pretty old machine.
It's an 85 machine, we got it used. I wanted to take it down, during the winter time when we're not using it, I'd like to take it down to Amherst Valley and have them just look at it, see if you can fix some of the pistons just to get by. The blade, there's a bar that goes on that holds the blade to the machine. It's been broken on one side, and we need a new bar. The machine, the clutch is going on it. When I got in it, Tim just said, just know that everything is loose, and and so I just went slow until I figured out what the machine could do, what it couldn't do. But yeah, if you're down to the base of the road and you've got the boulders and rocks and ledge, and you hit that with a teeth, it stops the grader dead. And that's a lot of force on that machine. And it broke 2 of the teeth off on the brush. I forget what they call it. I just call it
Sweet.
it's got teeth. The blades have teeth. Some towns use them, some towns don't like them. Tim didn't like them, he never used them. They were sitting in the back, and I couldn't get into Montague Road with the flat blade. So I remembered that they were there, and so we made a quick change, and I was able to get Montague graded. Montague was in pretty bad shape. And I hit some of that ledge and broke 2 of the teeth off. I was able to finish, but. So yeah, our dirt roads are on the base. There hasn't been much put on them. When you start seeing the red in the road, you're into the base of the road. So I want to find out what, like, certain areas where there's a lot of ledge and stuff like that, put fabric down underneath, and you have to put, I think, 6 inches at least on the top of that in some areas. So I just want to do some research so we can get our dirt roads under control. And we have a lot of ditches. Some of our paved roads, there's some culverts that go under the road. For instance, when you go down Wendell Road, you'll see the ditches on the side, big drop-offs and whatever. Those need to be DIs. They need to be so that cars can't drive into those. on the side of the road, bicyclists. You can't have a ditch like that. You can't have a big drop off like that. So I'd like to look into getting, we have some stuff to build them, and I have built them before. Built manholes and basins. We did a lot of that in Wayne. But I would like to get rid of those big holes. And they're easier to clean. You don't need a backhoe to do it. So yeah, there's a lot of improvements that I'd like to do. I mean, if you dig a ditch in the road, you have to put a plate on it, but you're not going to fill it in. And those ditches are like that. I know it's not good. But that's the way they did it.
Just a quick follow-up, have you had a chance to take a look at the highway department budget to see if it's adequate?
That's something I haven't, I was looking for it on the computer, it wasn't on the computers. He has like forms, and I gotta put some stuff in folders so I know where they are and stuff. Tim just put all of his PDF right on the front screen, and so you feel like, no. Trying to find, so Tim wasn't really computer literate. He did what he could, which is fine, that's, a lot of guys don't like computers.
He had the best handwriting in the world, though.
Yeah, I was impressed with his handwriting. He's a lefty.
He's a lefty.
Straight up and down.
Yeah.
Writing does a little bit of the,
Yeah.
so I've seen what Steve did and I've seen what Tim did. And yeah, Tim was very good at that. He kept a lot of records. I'd like to put them in the computer so they're easier to access. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff I'd like to do. It's gonna take time. Yeah, I like a challenge. That's, I've told that before.
Yeah, I think to the extent that those costs associated with getting the machines upgraded or replaced, as much advance notice, right, as we can have is good, because within a few months, you'll be starting in the budget process for next year.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to
That's
get
what I want.
familiar with this
Yeah.
year's budget.
The budget request is already out.
Is out.
That's what FERCog is.
No, it's also out for the town, so
Is it?
I'll make sure you can find it. I'll print it out for you and give you a
I'd
copy
like
of
to look
this.
at it, yeah. I'd like to see where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can review the expense report with you so you can see where we're at.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
And at least have an idea of what I can do right now. As opposed to what I can do. But I know this is all this stuff's gonna take time. And I know we'll keep the trucks running as much as we can, keep the grader going.
There's always a trade-off between like pouring money into a vehicle or a piece of equipment.
Exactly.
And I know that from personal experiences from the trucks I used to own and stuff, that you throw good money after bad, so to speak, really easily. If you make a mistake.
Yeah, I don't wanna put a lot more money into those Sterlings.
No, exactly, that's what I'm talking about.
And I don't like surprises. I like to know what condition the trucks are in. Get things taken care of before if it's not broke, don't fix it, some people think.
Right.
I think that way.
Yeah.
I'm not a thinker like that. I would like to get a company to do some servicing on our trucks rather than us. And the reason why I say that is because they're professionals at it. These trucks all have computers now. They have automatic transmissions that I'm used to driving 18 speed.
Right.
Even fuller transmissions. There's no maintenance really with those, except for just making sure you keep your gear up, oil up on it and stuff. But with the automatic transmissions, you've got to service those. They're computer operated. The Allison transmission that's in the new 10-wheeler is quite a machine. And I'd like to make sure that they're serviced properly. Because if you don't service those properly, it's very expensive. More so than the people of training.
Yeah, sure.
And everybody's going automatic now. All the trucking companies are doing it. They want the computers in there. We don't even have a computer reader. I can't even shut an engine light off. Or look look it up.
He was looking at getting one.
Yeah, I got him looking at them. I wanted a computer to be able to read those. They're expensive, some of them are. The Raymond's up in Berniston, his daughter is the one that does all the computer reading on the trucks. And I asked her which one's the best one to get, and she said, don't buy this one, buy this one. You know, we have to be able to read the computers. But when it comes to servicing the trucks, I'm sure they have to do programming on them when they service it. I'm not familiar with that process, so I want to make sure that that 10-wheeler lasts the life it should.
Are there companies that do that, that'll come around being a mobile service?
Yeah, I went to an expo last Thursday, and I met a guy that their company is just down past Belchertown. They go to highway departments and they actually read the computers, they service trucks and so forth. I want to find out what that budget would be. Right now, our system, or Tim's system, was they have a guy that comes in and replaces the filters when we use it. So we're doing fuel filters, or, changing the oil, stuff like that, that's fine. I found a center bearing on one of the trucks when I was doing that, so it's good that you get underneath there and you look. But when you service your own trucks, the older ones continue because they don't have computers in it. So that's all changed. The Western Star has a computer, and it also has Allison transmission as well. And the new truck has one that's a little more updated. Right now, there's an engine light on that truck. We don't have a computer to read it, but we know what it is because we had the same problem and we had to take it all the way down to Springfield. It cost us $7,000.
Oh, I can believe that.
I get it right.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's the price of buying that computer. I'd rather spend the money on something that once and be able to at least look at it. And if it's something we can't do, then that's fine. Obviously, you want to take it somewhere, or have somebody come up and service it. I already asked a bunch of questions about that. And I want to find a place to wash the trucks. There's got to be a place out there, truck wash station or something that we can take the trucks to and not wash the salt into the ground. I don't agree with that. When the first time I worked for, we had a wash station. They had a recycling system. It works, but you're washing the truck with recycled water that has salt in it.
Right.
So that's not helping you any. Right. So if you have a place you can go with a washing station where you're not going to wash the truck with salt, the truck's going to last longer.
So I had another question just about staffing now. So you're the acting, we have one other
Ben.
person or to Ben,
Yeah,
right?
Ben just started. He just got sworn in yesterday, or this morning. I think it was this morning. Yeah. He got sworn in this morning. He brought his paperwork down, so I'll get him in front of the computer, look at the paperwork. He needs an over-the-rail hydraulics license. He does have the 2A, which is excavators down, so he can run the front end loader, but he can even run a grader. If I felt comfortable putting him in there right now, which I don't. I want him to be safe. He's only 20 years old, so he's super teachable. He listens, and he's 20 years old, so I understand that. So I would love to teach, and I sat both him and Mike down. Mike's part-time. He has his CDL license B, and Ben has his B. I have the A. Mike doesn't have his hydraulics. As soon as he found out that there was a possibility of a full-time position opening up, I pulled up the website to apply for hydraulics licenses, and he filled out the application and paid the $150 to get an appointment. So he's just waiting for the appointment right now. He's serious about it now. So he worked in Leverett
Okay.
for a little while, and they let him go because he didn't get his hydraulics license in time. But he's serious about it now. For him to go right on the computer like that, put $150 of his own money in there. I think he's that serious. And when he's going for the 2A and then over the rail. And I've already talked to Ben about putting it, he just spent $500, I think it was, to get a CDL license. So he emptied his bank account to get his CDL license. So I understand if he doesn't want to pay the $75 for the appointment, but he's gonna do it soon.
So it's Mike who's working part-time, did you say?
Mike's part-time right now.
And he's available to
He's-
be full-time?
I'll tell you what, he stepped up last week. He put in 32 hours last week to help us out, and he's gonna be with us all week this week. And him and Ben just went down to dig some ditches out for me while I was grading Montague Road. They cleaned up all the edges with Wendell so that we can get it paved. I mean, they're trustworthy kids. And I keep telling them, I trust you. So I had to send them back up for a couple of things, but you know, they're 20 years old.
I like their
Mike's 38.
I like their decorative bump on Wendell Road.
Very nice.
I was like, what is that?
No sign can be blown away.
It's like, okay. I thought it was graffiti at first, and then I realized when I looked a little closer. Very cute.
Yeah, I do know who I can trust to do what.
Mhm.
And when we get in there, I can get them so that even if I wanted to take a week off, one of them could do the warrants, one of them could do the payroll. I told them, I sat them both down as soon as I found out, and I said, you know, if I do get the position, you're gonna learn how to do this job.
Mhm.
And we're all gonna know everything. You know, how to make. Ben's already making phone calls to the board and parent for the lawnmower. I gave him the phone book and I said, here, call him up and see if you can get, find out when our lawnmower's gonna be ready. And he did it. So he did it on his own phone, his own cell phone. So I tested him a little just to see if he would be willing to make phone calls, and he was. So, and he's the one that called Raymond's about the truck. And I had asked him to do it, and he did it. I'm not afraid to delegate, especially if they're trustworthy and they can do it. Ben's a farm boy. That kid, he knows, he's a good worker, I'll tell you, that kid. Keeps saying, I'm the young one, let me shovel. So,
I like that.
I like it because they're teachable.
Mhm.
You don't have somebody that's already there that says they know it all, and you can't teach them. These two kids are teachable. So yeah, I would love to get Mike on board. They both like each other. They know each other from young ages. So it's a good thing.
If, just a question to follow up on that, if you found yourself needing to recruit more people, how might you do that?
Word of mouth. Network. You can find out all the time if they know somebody who can file, that's willing to come in and run a small truck, or if they have a CDL license, can they run a big truck? Ben already knows, a friend of his, he just left Boynton and Perry, he knows how to plow, and so I told him, well, if I get in a position, I'd like to talk to him, see if he'd be willing to be a help in the wintertime. I'd like to get two people that we could call if one of them can't come and the other one would be able to come. We've been short-handed before, so I don't like that. I have to work.
One question I have is do you have any questions for us?
I think I will. In the future, I've been thinking all week, what do I have? Yeah. I just figured once you guys make your mind up, then we can talk about other stuff. That's what my questions are. I have a lot of questions, but they'll get answered.
I think one of the things that we haven't established yet, but that we might, well, I have an interest, is in meeting with you quarterly, every 3 or 4 months, doing the same with the fire chief, just to kind of hear, I mean, your day-to-day contact is the town administrator, but it's always good for the select board to understand, the priorities. So if we can think about establishing some sort of a schedule. We do our meetings hybrid, so you can be in person or come in via Zoom. So we'll be setting that up.
Okay, I had to bring my camera in for the Zoom meeting. I didn't have a camera.
Oh,
Love it all right.
So he's tech savvy too.
Yeah,
He
great.
solved it
Right.
himself.
Right.
Yeah, there's no Zoom set up on that, so I just went on the link from the website.
Yep.
And it came right up and I was able to get right in. Now, I tried to download the Zoom on the computer, but somebody's got something in there that won't allow it to happen, so I gotta figure out why I couldn't do that. Figure it out.
So next steps.
so next steps, if I remember correctly, so next steps, we would, we would potentially appoint, and then that would be contingent on a successful contract negotiation and Cory check, background check. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I think that's,
Those are the two things, right?
yep. And the select board, I don't know if you've seen a draft of the contract. The select board has redone the contracts with, added some things to the contract, so I brought a draft. If anyone wanted to see that, I could give it to you. So, I mean, we have to discuss where we are, as far as appointing, that would be part of our, so,
And then we would
do contract.
do the contract.
Yeah, with
Right.
the select board, I
Okay.
guess, in this case, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna continue on having the full select board do contract negotiations?
Well, I think if we, if we present a contract to you, then whether or not there needs to be negotiations or not.
Well, I
Or
figured
whether or
that
not
was
it's
part of the
acceptable to
process,
you,
yeah.
the contract is acceptable, then there wouldn't need to be negotiations per se, so.
There's always that one piece that's negotiated, which is salary.
Right.
So I have a draft, a full draft here. How do we want to handle, so do we want to, my first step would be, do we want to discuss appointment and then
Yeah.
head to the next step? I guess that's what I would do.
How do we do?
I have one question. What do you use the tree board? Not have a
Yeah,
tree
that was
board?
one of the things that I was gonna, and I saw you had some experience with.
Yeah, 5 years with a timber harvester.
Right,
And I also went to a class with Steve I'm the deputy tree warden. Steve, I have a certificate for that,
yeah,
but it's by appointment, right?
yes.
But it's been written, it's part of the current highway
the
superintendent
superintendent.
job description.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did ask Mitch,
Oh, you talked
his
to me?
employer, when I did the references,
Uh-huh.
and he seemed to think that, he thought your knowledge was, pretty good.
Yeah,
Having worked with them for 5 years, his
Yeah.
knowledge of the trees and determining the disease that they have, or, whether it's, starting to die and things that have to be determined.
I've put some ribbons on trees around town that we've had taken down. They're a hazard tree. I'm familiar with the species, some of the species. The ash trees are really rough shape. And you can tell a tree is gonna go on the road by the angle it's at. It's on a hill, you can tell if it's a hazard to the power company. I've already called the power company once on a tree that I don't like on top of Louisville dirt. It's already over and it's leaning up on another tree, it's a big tree.
Well, I know exactly that tree.
You know the one I'm talking about,
Runs
yeah, I
past
want
it.
that tree down, I don't like that
The
tree.
one that's broken at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah. I pointed out to Steve one time too, Steve.
Yeah,
Was there-
Steve
was
knew
there-
about it, and we were gonna talk to somebody about it, but
Yeah,
I don't know what Steve had. I know he had a tree company coming in for 2 days, so I did what I know Steve wanted done, and I had him take another tree down that I put a ribbon around when we were patching a hole, and I saw it, and I put a ribbon around it. I said, that's not a good tree.
Will the power company ever take those down? In other words,
They'll take them down if they're a hazard for the power line.
Right.
And we had
I would think that one would be.
yeah, the power company has an arborist that comes through, and they came through already, and that's why you see a lot of the trees cut, this wood on the side of the road.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trees that have been cut, this wood on the side of the road, that they did. He's the one that put the ribbons around those, and then he came in and asked us if there was some other trees that, and so we pointed out a couple more and they cut. Just communicate with them. I have a number for a guy for the power company. He's pretty good. You know, there's a tree that's hazardous, it's gonna come down on the power lines. And he came up and cut it.
Well, it's beneficial, that saves them time and money when there's a storm and it comes down.
You take them down before the storm.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
We chipped wood that last time when we had all those branches come down and trees come down. We chipped wood from February all the way into the spring. There was a lot of wood chipping.
Is there an additional certification for the tree warden, brought up to the full tree warden? You said you were deputy and had gone to a training.
Well, I just went to one of the classes that Steve had, and they gave us a certificate. Yeah,
And I think
I'll ask Steve about it.
the requirement for the full class that Steve took is the town has to be over 5,000 in size. So it's not required for him to be tree warden, but if you, maybe next year when you're more settled in, you could take the class Steve took just to feel more comfortable.
And who offers that?
It was through I think it's a tree warden association. It's a state
Okay,
sponsored.
certification.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
and it was 8 weeks on Wednesdays and 8 full day.
Yeah.
Once a week for 8 weeks.
I've talked to the guy that runs, did a Zoom meeting with them. And I talked to him, asked him some questions. Guy's really good. He's from Amherst or I think it's Amherst. No, I'm sorry, it's Hampton. So he teaches a lot of tree wardens. But I am familiar with hazardous trees. I've cut a few down myself, just because. I just gotta find out what Steve was working on and what he wasn't working on, and catch myself up with that, and make sure that we get up to date.
All right, do we want to talk about appointments or?
Yeah, and
Typically, the applicant would
Leave.
leave before you have that discussion.
but it's gonna be public, right?
Well,
But
you
if
guys-
you want
Yeah,
to do
it's-
it,
Yeah.
if you're feeling
You
good
know?
about it, just go for it.
Yeah, I mean,
Fine with me.
okay, so, I'm certainly in favor of appointing Dave as superintendent, and a lot of the experience you've had, Dave, and you're, sitting here in front of a camera and broadcast to Shutesbury, and you're very comfortable, and very comfortable sitting here doing that. I like the experience that you have with different towns that you could bring in to help us with our roads, and the experience you already have here. The plans that you're outlining sound like you have a good grasp on what the needs of the roads are, and preventative rather than reactionary.
Yeah, I mean, I concur. I think, having been here for 4 years, so your familiarity with the equipment and understanding, you know, we have to be thinking longer term about the equipment and upgrades and whether or not we need new equipment, your ability to sort of step in. And I like your philosophy of training the other staff, highway department staff, to be able to to fill in, to kind of do all of the tasks, understanding ultimately it's your responsibility, but in the case where somebody has to step up, I certainly believe in, giving responsibility, as much responsibility as possible to younger people. I liked hearing that they'll make phone calls, because I know a lot of young people won't make phone calls, including my own children. So.
I believe in training somebody to replace you. It's a smart move. It's hard to find highway workers.
Yeah.
And kids that are willing to actually pick up a shovel.
Right.
I can't find them anymore. I believe, I'm not the kind of guy that, well, I'm afraid they're gonna take my position, because I used to hate guys like that. Not hate, but I used to hate that philosophy.
Yeah.
I worked with a lot of, my uncle was one of them. That's my background, nobody's getting that background. I don't agree with that. Just teach them how to run everything. Kids, if they're teachable, let them learn.
Yeah, no, that's a
And
great
safety.
approach.
Safety is one of my things. I've been on safety committees before. And I want to be safe on the roads, period. Guys that got killed because they put signs out like that. We'll see the effect it has on families. What's that?
I also appreciate the cross-training of the younger ones to learn the everyday experience of the department, and having them be able to take over, like you said, if you're on vacation, or, an expression we always use where I work is win the lottery rather than the bus. And so that there's a continuation of operations.
Well, you could retire something.
Or retire,
Yeah.
Well,
and then
I'm 60, so I'll be 61 in February.
Yeah.
so that's much more.
I'm not vested into the Franklin County. But I love what I do, so it's hard to give up something.
Yeah, no, I know.
Tim couldn't do it. He still talks to me a lot about how much he misses it. He liked it. Told me
You
that.
can plow snow, regular snow
Well,
plow.
that's the part he didn't want to do.
There's always one thing you don't want to do.
Didn't want to file.
Well, the calls at midnight, and, having to get up at 2 in the morning, that's.
Yeah, he was pretty excited about not having
Yeah, I can see that.
it. Plowing sand
I
anymore.
can see that.
He did it one more year in New Salem. I'm sure the other guys did it for him most of the time. Yeah, I'd like to just at least find 2 more guys that will be willing. I'd like to move forward. That'd be willing to come in and help us plow. You never know with the COVID thing. I was out a week. Before Steve was out. I came back, Steve wasn't here.
Right. Beginning of September, end of August, with COVID, right?
We got COVID.
There have been a lot of people. Eric had it.
Yeah, I had it
2 or 3
from about the
weeks
same
ago.
time you just mentioned that.
I had it when it first came out, and left the Templeton Highway Department that I was working for. 2 people came to work, they weren't supposed to. Highway super, secretary, they obviously felt like they had to be there, and I got COVID. I wasn't happy. I didn't find out until I came here though.
One of our field
Nobody told me
officers.
anything until I came here, and I was like, oh, now it kind of clicked, makes sense why I got it.
Yeah.
I was the one going around sanitizing everything. Everybody goes, I can't believe you got it.
Yeah.
You do what you can to protect yourself.
So I'd like to, do you have other comments, anything else?
No, I.
Because I was ready to make a motion.
You've taken up, you
Yeah?
guys have taken up all the good points. I agree with you, both.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Dave Grenier as the Shutesbury Highway Department Superintendent, subject to quarry review.
A successful contract negotiation.
Successful
Or
contract.
review back.
Okay. So as soon as we get that, so you have,
I have a draft, so I can, now that we've appointed, I can fill in names
okay,
in appropriate spots, and then have Donna glance over it real quick, make sure it lines. Donna being our town council.
Okay, great.
You will hold us what down.
So do I hear,
I made the motion.
okay, so
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye?
Stalker,
Carol, aye. Yeah, great. Well, thank you
Well,
so
thank you,
much
all
for coming in, being so well prepared. Yeah, we will be back in touch very soon.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to the
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
Look forward to working with you. Yeah, should be good.
Okay, do we have
Okay,
any other business?
I don't believe we do.
Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye?
Stalker, aye.
Carol, aye. Thanks so much, Dave. Good evening.
Congratulations,
Yes,
Dave.
yeah.
Thanks, Becky. Thanks for recommending. I wasn't even really considering it, I thought the title was
Well, I'm supposed to be on mute.
Where?
Thank you, Dave.
Here. Goes to Becky. Thanks so much.
I don't remember reading.